Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm at Cox's Farm, a little certificated site with a farm shop just over there. The vehicle I've brought is Hymer's new Mercedes-based MLT 570 Xperience. But before I tell you any more about the van, I should say that this video is sponsored by Pullinger's Leisure Vehicles, based just down the road on the outskirts of Howstead on the A131. They're dealers for Adria, Deathlefs, Sunlight, Pilote and Le Voyageur, and now also in the 2025 season for Hymer. And Pullinger's have been voted UK #1 dealer by Deathlefs for customer service in the UK for the last 8 years. So, what exactly is an MLT Xperience? Well, quite clearly it's one of the existing MLT models, but with more spec, a sort of special edition. Well, an Xperience Edition. Hymer describes it as, "Here, our expertise in terms of equipment and style meets spacious interior with compact external dimensions." Yeah, they give you more kit for your money, basically. And yes, it is a relatively compact motorhome, 6.74 metres long, 2.22 metres wide, so 10 centimetres or so narrower than the typical coach-built motorhome, and 2.92 metres high. It is on a 3.5 tonne chassis as standard, so you can drive it on a standard car licence. But you can upgrade that if you need more payload to either 3,880 kilos or 4.1 tonnes, 4,100 kilos. Now this is of course a Mercedes Sprinter based motorhome, but unlike the vast majority of Mercedes motorhomes today, this one is rear wheel drive. Now that gives you better traction in, well, horrible winter weather like this, better traction for towing if you need that, but without the weight and cost penalty of four-wheel drive. Most rivals are of course on the front-wheel drive Sprinter, and another advantage of this rear-wheel drive model is a much tighter turning circle, so as well as being fairly compact, it is nice and manoeuvrable. Now, being a Mercedes motorhome and from premium brand Hymer, you wouldn't expect it to be cheap. Prices start at £110,860, and this one, spec'd as it is today, with a relatively modest list of options, is £117,600. You could spend a lot more. There are a number of options which we'll come on to later, but the Xperience does give you quite a decent spec as standard. So what exactly do you get in the Xperience package? Well, these models come as standard with this Tenorite grey metallic cab with the Go Faster stripe on the bonnet. They get the 9G Tronic automatic gearbox with hold function, front fog and cornering lights, a leather steering wheel, a 4-metre awning, which you'll see on the off side with dimmable LEDs. The comfort door with window, blind and bin, the comfort L-shaped seating area with the possibility of converting that into a bed, a 32-inch smart LED TV, Mercedes 10.25-inch MBUX display with reversing camera, sat-nav, voice control and smartphone integration, and 16-inch black alloys with all-season tyres. I think we might be needing those today. Now, if we take a look down the near side, you'd expect this hatch to give you some storage, but actually it's full of electrics. You've got your charger there, your RCD unit, you've got your boiler drain valve there too, and next to that you've got your Truma vent. Now, the Truma heating in this van is a diesel unit with 6 kilowatt output, so it's the more powerful combi. If you want diesel and electric, that's an optional upgrade. It's just diesel only as standard. And again, you think, oh, well, there'll be some storage in this skirt. Well, no, more electrics. You've got adapters to add Things like solar panels. If you want two 95-watt solar panels, they are an option at £1,500. As standard, you get one lithium battery. That's an 80 amp hour lithium battery. But if you want to be really independent, you can go for the autonomy package, which gives you second, third and fourth lithium batteries for a total of 320 amp hours. With that package, you get an 1800 watt inverter too, but it's £5,760 for that option. Typical cassette servicing hatch, of course, and this loo has the SOG venting system. That's a £260 option on this vehicle. So you've got your fresh water filler here. Fresh water tank is 120 litres and heated and insulated. Wastewater tank is also heated and insulated, and that is 100 litres. The waste emptying valve is over on the other side, and that is electrically open, so no fiddling about with muddy taps. In here you've got your gas locker, two 6-kilo cylinders and a nice long extension, so if you can't get near to that emptying point, well, just add this on and press the button and emptying will be nice and easy. If you're wondering about this shelf above the gas locker, that is designed to take a second cassette for your loo, to give you a bit more independence from site facilities. Again, that is an option and not fitted to this vehicle. Around the back of the vehicle, this roof rack and ladder is an option. It's a £610 option, and I think it rather goes with the image of the vehicle. To go with that, there is a GRP roof as well, and that again is a £610 option. The ladder's lockable, so little kiddies won't be tempted to run up there and play on the roof. Back end styling I think is quite neat. They remind you that you've bought a Merc, and note that there's various different sections to this, so if you bash a corner you haven't got to replace a whole lot of GRP. Coming around the side, of course, you've got the flush fit polyvision windows, your mains hook up, and now time to have a look at the garage. So the garage, well, you've got full-size loading doors on either side, two main sockets here and 12 volt, and these useful shelves. Headroom in here is really generous, 1.28 metres, and it's 78 centimetres wide at its narrowest between the shelves and the back wall. I really like these shelving units, ideal for things like your levelling wedges, mains lead, all that sort of stuff. There's an interesting little pocket here too, which you could put something like a golfing brolly behind, because it's not actually a pocket, it's got no bottom in it, but it can hold things upright. Adjustable lashing points, of course. This felt trim in the garage, that's a £260 option. You do, as standard, get the two lights to illuminate your garage space. Other options that are available are a checker plate floor in the garage and an external shower. You can also upgrade the maximum weight for the garage area from 350 kilos as standard, which is already generous, up to 450 kilos. But if you're going to be carrying that sort of weight, you'll also need a chassis upgrade. Standard overall payload for the vehicle is 453 kilos. But with the few options that this one's got, that comes down to 396 kilos. So finally it's time for me to go and show you the inside of the Xperience. Got a nice grab handle, electric step, but the door is not linked to the central locking. You can have that as an option, but one option that is fitted on this particular vehicle is an extra security lock on the habitation door, which you might actually think is preferable to the central locking because, well, these habitation doors aren't really that secure. That is a £270 option. When you come in to the MLT Xperience, it's worth noting that that optional security lock, that deadlock, is also operable from inside. We've got coat hooks on the door, and above that is Hymer's control panel, which gives you all the usual things: battery condition, water levels, and so on. It can be operated from the Hymer Connect app, and that will even give you things like your gas level, so it goes a little bit beyond some of these systems. You'll also note that on here you can operate your heater, so you don't need to go into the separate Truma controls to put the hot water on or to adjust the temperature inside the van. When you sit in the lounge, the influence of Hymer's Venture S, the motorhome of the year a couple of years ago, is clearly visible. Now, design features from that model, which is still in production in limited volume at the top of the Hymer range, well, design features from that are filtering down into vehicles, and this is sort of half the price of a Venture S. Personally, I think I'd rather have this, but that's another matter. And this is almost an award-winning van itself. It was highly commended in the Fixed Single Bed category in the Out and About Live Awards for 2025. So what do you get? Well, you get this L-shaped seating area, the two swivel cab seats, big opening over cab sunroof. This upholstery is an option. It's called Merino. It's a mix of fabric and leather, and it's £2,650. It's the most expensive option on this particular vehicle. There are two standard all fabric upholsteries available, and four other optional extra upholsteries, including this one and including a full leather version as well. Other than that, well, what do you get? You get these nice reading lights that are completely directional. They've got built-in USBs as well. You've got this nice slatted panel around the window. It's all very elegant in here, isn't it? Wood finish for the table, and that slides and twists in all directions. It's a nice size of table, not too big. Remember, this is sort of a 2-stroke 3-berth motorhome. I actually imagine that 99% of the time it's going to be 2 people living in this vehicle. The L-shaped seating area, well, that gives you a bit more sort of feet up lounging space. You can, I think, just about get this, yeah, you can just about get this armchair round to put your feet up on the sofa, or likewise you could put your feet up sitting in that back corner. But here is the place for the swivel driver's seat to watch that 32-inch TV, which is part of the standard spec with Xperience. Another thing to note is the general ambiance of the vehicle in terms of its lighting. There's excellent lighting throughout, and not only can you adjust it from the control panel in terms of brightness, but in terms of what Hymer calls light temperature. So it can be a very white light, or here we've got a sort of mid setting, gives you a warmer feel inside the van. And this may not be the biggest of lounges. Remember, this is only 6.74 metres of motorhome with fixed single beds and a garage at the back, but it's a comfortable lounge. This sort of soft and squishy, almost pillow-like backrest helps. There's a bit of shape to this backrest of the travel seat here. Got two rear belts, of course, for rear passengers, and you'll be pleased to see that the head restraints are adjustable, so you haven't got your head against the TV should the worst happen. Now, moving on to the kitchen area. Again, you've got lots of daylight because you've got this big wind-up roof light above. It's starting to go dark now, though. And then the kitchen area, well, you've got these lovely leather tags on the cupboards, which I really, really like. It's a feature that started off again in the Venture S, but now is creeping through the rest of the Hymer range. And inside, you've got a felt flooring to the cupboards, so things should rattle a lot less. 3-burner hob as standard, and then this sink with a rather nice wall-mounted tap. I really like that. Very nice feature. And a chopping board or draining board cover for the sink doubles as both. Super-sized drawers, again with those leather tags, and the top one is a twin level one, so at the top you've got room for, well, all your cutlery and utensils and plates and cups and things as well. The lower drawer again is huge, and you've got a waste bin in there. Alongside you've got a 154 litre compressor fridge, really good size, and it opens both ways. Above that you've got your Thetford oven, and it is just an oven, there's no grill, and of course it is rather high. It's a £590 option. Depends how tall the family chef is, whether they'll be happy with it. Well, I think that was the one thing that stopped this van taking an award this year. Other than that, main sockets. Well, this particular van has a pack of additional sockets. I'm not sure how many you get as standard, but on this van you've got 2 up here in the kitchen. Might need quite a long lead for your appliances on there. And then at this end you've got another socket which is compatible with your little fold-up worktop that gives you extra space. That is limited to 5 kilos, they say, although it feels as if you could put a lot more on it, but I guess Hymer are being on the safe side. And they even might mark the drawers with a weight limit too of 15 kilos, so perhaps don't put your children in there or whatever, or the dog. And then you've got these rails here and by the door as well. I think they're for some accessories that you can buy from your Hymer dealer, but we haven't got any hooks or anything on this vehicle, so I think there's some little attachments go into those rails. Now, a key feature of a motorhome like this is of course the rear bedroom. You've got more top lockers, again with these little leather straps, and again they're felt floored. Good lighting again, and I like this backlit shelf over the back. It's less intrusive than a top cupboard, and you've got again the plank effect on the walls. Pleated blinds all round as well, and the beds are these Hymer comfort mattresses on plastic springs, the Klima Plux springs, so very comfortable. You're guaranteed a decent night's sleep. Well, you are, as long as you're not too tall, because unlike some German vans, these aren't particularly generous beds. This one is 1.82 metres long, just a fraction under 6 foot. You've got actually just over 6 foot if you measure wall to wall, but the mattress itself is about 5 foot 11.5. Over on this side the bed is 1.86 metres, again a little bit more at the end, probably another inch, so 6'1" mattress, maybe 6'2" or so actual wall to wall. Bed widths on both sides 78 centimetres or 2'6.5". Ventilation, just a small roof vent. Accessories and so on, you've got a main socket that side and USBs for your phones etc. on either side. Now, with a few extra cushions you could actually sit up in this bedroom. As I say, this open locker is much less intrusive than an overhead cupboard, and I do like this illuminated strip at the back of the bedroom, and also this sort of felt finish. They've even put the Klima Plux springs under this central cushion, and of course right at this end you have the full width as mattress. Now, if you want an even bigger bed, well, there are various ways on the market of turning single beds into almost a sort of king size double. Here, rather than a slide out panel, you get this plastic panel that just slots into place. Very firm location, that's not going anywhere. And then this extra cushion, well, that fills in on top. But what's really clever is that usually at this stage you're looking for a ladder, and who wants to climb up a ladder to bed? But not with Hymer, because underneath the standard steps for the single beds, there's this pull-out step arrangement. It works really, really well. Very sturdy and gives you excellent access now to a giant bed. You could sleep across the vehicle if you wanted to, but probably just use this as an even bigger bed lengthways. And for the record, this centre section is now 1.49 metres long and the width across the van is 1.93 metres. The other thing to note when you're sleeping is that there is no full height privacy curtain, just this, which is fine if you're using the extended bed, but not so fine if you're using the singles. And then there's a good sized wardrobe under the offside bed with front and top access and a light. It really is a very good size, although only shirt length. And then on the other side of the vehicle you have a much smaller shelved space for some folded clothes. The MLT 570 is described as a 3-berth, so there's also a dinette bed up front. Table lowers, that's simple enough, and this cushion clearly fits around the B-post. Not quite sure what you're supposed to do with this thin cushion. I did hope that it would go on the cab seats and level things off there, but clearly it doesn't quite fit. And in any case, the length is more child size than adult, but I suppose you might be able to sleep a grandchild here occasionally. If it's more than that, I'd look for a different model with a drop-down bed. So to the washroom, and the first thing you'll note is that the tambour door has a magnetic catch, so you travel with the door closed, unlike in some models where the whiffs can move around as you drive. Then inside it's a bench cassette toilet, which some people say is a bit easier to clean. Probably is. Plenty of room sitting on it, both for shoulders and leg room. Good headroom too, and in the roof vent above you've got a hanging rail. It's nicely lit, and you'll notice there's a little pin light, so you don't need to turn the lights on if you're just going for a tinkle in the night. There's a little pin light at the bottom of the stairs in the steps in the bedroom as well. Again, you've got these lovely little leather tags on the cupboards, but more importantly, the storage includes these straps to hold everything in place, so it won't all tumble out when you open the cupboard door for the first time on arrival on site. Up in this top cupboard behind the loo, there's also a main socket. But the really important bit is the shower. Just release this catch, and then the basin swings round. Panel on the back folds out, and now you have, well, it's not the biggest of shower cubicles, but it's big enough. The tap from the basin pulls up and becomes your shower head. You've got little recesses here for your shampoo and conditioner and so on, and 2 drains in the floor. The only downside of an arrangement like this, of course, is you will have to mop the floor when you finish, because otherwise you've got a wet floor in front of the loo. But I think it's a really good use of space and a nice quality design. So that's the living area. Now time for the Merc bit. And this is where I use the word assist rather a lot, because this Hymer comes with all the assistance systems. It has active brake assist, active lane keeping assist, attention assist, hill start assist, crosswind assist, active distant assist Distronic Plus, which I think is the adaptive cruise control. Well, it is the adaptive cruise control, and traffic sign assist. So you've got all the modern tech. You've got electric parking brake and stop start. So time to go for a drive. Nice adjustable steering column up and down and in and out. Plenty of adjustment on these very nice armchairs with twin armrests. You've got the extending section of the squab if you've got long legs. Right, time to go. And that reminds me, that we've forgotten about the step, but fortunately I don't have to get up. There is a step button on the dashboard. We've got automatic lights, automatic wipers. Time to go. It's the usual Merc, of course, with electric parking brake, just a little switch down here, and engage drive on a column stalk. So driving this Sprinter, well, it rides nicely, it feels a lot more sophisticated than the cheaper base vehicles, Fiat Ducato and Peugeot Boxer, etc. You do feel that you're justified in spending that extra money. It feels very smooth. The 9G Tronic gearbox is one of the best. Now, standard spec is 170 horsepower engine. You can upgrade that to 190 horsepower. That's a £3,550 option. But frankly, if you're driving this as a 3.5 ton motorhome, I can't see that you'd ever need to. If you're going to plate it up to 4.1 tons and drive it heavily laden or towing perhaps, then yeah, the 190 horsepower option might be something to consider. But as standard, 170 horsepower is fine. It's as much as most, even some larger motorhomes will have. Decent performance, good ride quality, but the thing that is perhaps most noticeable of all, even on some of the rougher roads around Halstead, well, there's hardly any conversion noise, and that speaks volumes for Hymer's quality. It's always nice to have a motorhome that isn't rattling to death behind you. And the other thing is, it's just a really nice vehicle to drive. Everything just feels less van-like, I suppose. If you want more spec, there are other things you can spec. You can have heated seats, heated windscreen, extra soundproofing, and high beam assist so that your headlights dip automatically off main beam. But the spec on this seems pretty good as standard, and that rear wheel drive is well, that's one of the key things giving this vehicle a bit of a USP. And as you can see, she motors along very nicely indeed. So that's the Hymer MLT 570 Xperience. If you haven't gathered already, I really like this motorhome. What don't I like? I don't like the height of that oven. I'm not that keen on the price. Best part of 120 grand for a sub 7 metre motorhome is a lot of money. But it is a Merc, it is rear wheel drive, it's got a lot of spec, and well, Mercedes based coach built motorhomes in 2025 are never going to be cheap. It's got everything you'd expect of a Hymer and more. If you're looking for this sort of motorhome, definitely put the Xperience on your shopping list. I hope you've enjoyed this latest motorhome review. Please don't forget to like the video and of course to subscribe to the channel. It really does help us to keep bringing you this content.